So before I start, just two comments. This is not a very detailed step-by-step video, but if you are considering buying this tower, it might still be useful. Then the second comment is I want to say thank you to the two guys that helped me a lot during the installation. And Damian and Kuba, thank you. You're awesome. And this is not a sit and talk video. I will get to the bike in a minute, so hold on. Hello, this is Rafał, and this video is about how to install adventure bike tower on Husqvarna 701 or KTM 690. So here it is. The first step is to take the factory headlight unit off the motorcycle, and you do it by unscrewing those 4 screws. This is the 2021 model, so it has 4 screws. Some models have 3. Just find them and unscrew them. And then you have to pull this plastic, this white plastic from the top, and then pull it up as the bottom of the lamp is placed by those little 2 pins in the fender. And then you are able to take this white part out with the headlight, and there is just one connector to be disconnected. It looks exactly like this, right? These are the new lamps. So this is the connector, very easy to disconnect. Step number 2, after taking the plastic away, you will see all of the cables inside. And the first step on the instructions coming from the factory of the tower is to mark all of the cables before you disconnect them. Actually, the connections are fairly different for every cable, but it's just faster for you to just get back them all together after you will install the tower. So it's a good step to take. It will make your life easier later on. So mark all of the connections before you will disconnect them. We just used some tape, put the numbers on the tape, and that was the easiest way to do it. There are quite a lot of cables to be disconnected. It's about 15, so prepare enough tape with numbers. Step number 3 is to take this black plastic away from the motorcycle, and there are 2 ways to do it. One is to work with the cables, the braking cables that are entering here from the top and exiting here from the bottom. I'm not a experienced mechanic enough to play with the braking cables, so we have used like this brutal method of cutting the plastic to take it out. If you don't need it, look, you won't need this plastic anymore. It's definitely, for us, it was definitely a faster way to do it. You have to cut the plastic. In regards to the connections and the cables, there are 2 plugs that are very close to the head of the frame. I will show you that in a minute. We will get to the bike in a second. When dismounting the display from the factory plastic, please remember also to take those rubber mounts from the factory plastic too. You will need them also here to make the display stable. You can see them here on the bottom. These are the plastics that come from the factory headlight unit. All right, remember I told you about the 2 connectors that are not in the headlight itself. You see those 2 cables here. To disconnect them, you have to take this panel off, then take this plastic off, and the connectors are just behind there. So you will find it a bit difficult to disconnect them as they are sealed with rubber, but be patient with it and it will come off. So when you have the headlight off and everything disconnected, then the next step is to start putting those clamps on the frame itself. As you can see, we have used some rubber to protect the frame from the U mount. It's optional, but we thought it might just be a bit more protective for the color of the frame. It's optional. So when you have the clamps installed, then you might want to start connecting the tower itself. There are just 2 screws to do it. This is this one, and that's the other one. I will also show it to you from the other side. Oh, hold on. Okay, you see it here. One optional thing, as we have tried to get a bit more of this pipe that holds all of the cables, we have decided to also run it in a different place. Originally it comes from here on top of the coolant pipe, but if you take it from the bottom, you will gain about maybe 1 or 2 centimeters of the length, and it will then reach the tower itself, still covered in the plastic, which I think is nice. The next important step is to try to gather all of the cables coming from the both sides of the handlebar, and they are entering the tower from the top here. It is a bit tricky because you have to leave a lot of free play for those cables. As you turn the handlebar, it still needs to have enough play for both sides. As you can see, it's easy to now it's easy to use the handlebar, the front, in the whole range from one side to another, still leaving the free play for the cables. Also, it's extremely important to try to zip ties those cables here so they don't get in the way when you are moving the handlebar, right? So you don't cut them by maybe some fast movement of the handlebar. Try to make it as clear and not touching the forks as possible. So if I move it even all the way here, you can see from this side that none of the cable is touching the fork. It's on both sides the same. And here you can see how it looks like from the inside, with all of the cables connected except for the headline unit and one of the indicators, and it's zip tied all together, not to make any movements while riding. And everything in terms of installation went really well up to this point. But that was the first problem that we have encountered, is the one that I will tell you now about, because I have chosen the ECE approved lights, which are quite big in size, and this 2021 model has LED blinkers with 18 millimeters long bolt, and it turned out that this bolt is too long to fit with the ECE approved lights. So we had to come up with some, temporary solution to fit the blinkers. It is just cut out of the plastic. I have talked to the producer of the tower. He has sent me some kind of solution. I will show you what the solution was offered by the producer, and then the other one that we have came up with a friend. Of course, this problem only occurs because I have chosen the ECE approved lights, and this is a 2021 model with those LED blinkers. If you would choose the off-road lights, or you have a model earlier than 2021 with different blinkers, then you would probably not have this problem. To fix the problem with the blinkers, the tower producer has sent me this part, and I have installed the blinker on it just to move it away from the tower. But to be honest, I am not a fan of this solution. As you can see, that the blinker is much further away from the tower, and there are cables outside of the tower, and it probably would be quite easy to break. And aesthetically, I am not really happy with this solution. But luckily, I have a friend with a 3D printer, and we have came up with a solution like this, which is an 8mm spacer that has the hole for the pin of the connector, and it also has its own pin to be kept in one place. He designed it, he printed in 3D, and I hope it will do the job and look much better than the solution offered by the producer. So I'm going to install it right now and we will see. And this is how it looks like with this 8mm spacer, 3D printed from the outside, and from the inside it leaves plenty of space for the headlight unit. So I think that's the better way to do it. I like it a bit more than the solution offered by the producer. I believe that in the next iteration of this tower, this blinker space will be moved back a bit and up a bit. It will allow more space for the headlight unit, but as this is a early adopters edition, I think the solution I found is quite okay. And when talking about 3D printing additional things, I would highly recommend to download a file and print this hose clip, because it will keep the hoses close to the fork and they won't be, running here and probably making some kind of noise. There are many options. I have also found this kind of solution online without the hole for the cables here. You can zip tie it permanently to the fork. It has holes here for the zip tie and it will keep your cables close to the fork. This one has a hole on this side. You can remove the cables if you need to, right? But it will stay in one place. Well, this is ready product, fully installed. This is how it looks like. After you connect all of the cables, it's basically step by step, reconnecting the cables and then just screwing in the blinkers, setting up the height of the lights with those bolts on the side of the tower, and adding the windscreen. Very easy, step by step. Sorry, this was not detailed video, but it gives you a perspective if the process is complicated or not. I think the hardest moment was related to those cables and how to fit them through that little hole here in the head of the tower, and how to fit them all in relatively little space that those ECE approved lights are leaving behind. That was quite difficult but manageable. Taking that pipe with the cables out and gaining like 2 or 3 centimeters to have it entering with the pipe to the tower was also a bit difficult, but actually the whole process was very easy. Okay, these are the lights, low beam, high beam, everything seems to be working well. Yep. Cool. Interestingly, when the high beam is on, the low beam goes off. I will have to test it to see if it works well. I would much more prefer to have both of those lamps working when using the high beam. Alright, sorry for not making a very detailed video. I hope it was still useful. It's fairly easy to do, good quality tower. Some challenges with the early units. I hope later on the issue with the blinkers will be solved and you will not have to print anything. I had to just make 2 major changes. So those spacers here that you can see, 8mm, moving the blinkers away and adding the clip to hold the cables. This is also 3D printed. Other than that, very cool stuff. All right, thank you for watching. See you next time. Cheers. Questions? Just put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer all of them. Cheers.